Dear Swamiji, Sri Hari Prasad, religious leaders, and my dear brothers and sisters, I am happy and privileged to address you on the occasion of the annual Peace and Reconciliation Conference by the Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, Chennai, on the theme, Right to Education is the Key to Peace, a theme which is very dear to me and to all of you. We ask any person in the world today, which is shadowed with war, pandemic, financial, social, ethnic and moral crisis, about their first or priority wish in life. One of the first answers would be, I want peace. That's why when the risen Lord Jesus Christ, after the troubled days of crucifixion and dispersion, greeted the disciples with the words, peace be with you. I also want to greet you and wish you with the same words, peace be with you. Maria Montessori, one of the leaders of peace movement in the modern world, said, education is the best weapon for peace. In this paper, I would like to concentrate on the themes, what is peace, what is education, how they are interlinked or interrelated, and how to achieve peace through education. Being a Christian, I may more use Christian views in my presentation. What is peace? The term peace is used with a variety of meanings that are different in accordance with the context of usage. Literally, the word peace is derived from the original Latin word pax, which means pact, or an agreement to end any dispute or war or conflict among or between people, nations, or antagonistic groups. The word peace has no agreed upon single definition. Some explain it as tranquility or quiet, freedom from disturbance or conflict, absence or cessation of war, a state of security or order, and reconciliation after strife, etc. According to Albert Einstein, peace is not only the absence of war, but it means or includes the presence of justice, law, order, or government in the society. According to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, peace can only last where human rights are respected, where people are fed, and where individuals and nations are free. In other words, peace means respect for human right, well-being of people, and freedom of individuals and nations. The concept of peace in different religions and philosophies, all major religions of humanity have always strived after serenity and prescribed calm and exhorted people for universal fraternity. Whereas ahimsa or non-violence forms a cardinal principle of almost all Aryan religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, the religions of Semitic background like Judaism, Christianity and Islam, which share the basic concepts of monotheism and life after death, describe peace and reconciliation as carrying great rewards in this life and here and hereafter. As a Christian, let me explain the principles from Bible. Bible depicts God as the author and giver of peace. Various forms of the word peace are found 429 times in the King James Version of the Bible. There are different types of peace, including false peace, inner peace, peace with God, peace with men, etc. Depending on the situation, it could mean prosperity or well-being. In the Old Testament of the Bible, the primary Hebrew word for peace is shalom, and it refers to relationship between people, nations, and with God with humans, etc. I don't quote Bible passages here. Peace is directly related to the actions and attitudes of individuals, but it is, as per the Bible, ultimately a gift from God, as we read in Isaiah chapter 45, Leviticus 26, and John chapter 14:27. The presence of peace indicates God's blessings on humans' obedience, Isaiah 32:17. And of faith, Isaiah 26:3. There is no peace for the wicked, Isaiah 48:22. In the New Testament of the Bible, the primary Greek word used for peace is eirene, and it refers to rest, tranquility, etc. When Jesus was born, angels pronounced peace to the people on earth, Luke 2:14, as predicted by the prophet Isaiah, that the coming Messiah would come as the Prince of Peace, Isaiah 9:6. He is called the Lord of Peace. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." We read it in John 14:27. Often the salutation of Jesus was, "Peace be with you." St. Paul says, "Brethren, rejoice, be made complete, be comforted, be like-minded, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you." 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. Now, God of peace be with you all. That's my wish, as St. Paul says in Romans 15:33. Now let me come to what is education. Education in general is understood as the act or process of imparting or acquiring general knowledge, developing the powers of reasoning and judgment, and preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. The holistic approach regarding education is that it is based on the premise that each person finds identity, meaning, and purpose in life through connections to the community, to the natural world, and to the spiritual values, such as compassion and peace. Mahatma Gandhi said, "By education I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in the child and man, in his body, mind, and spirit." He maintained that education must be based on ethics and morality. Education generally refers to the discipline that is concerned with methods of teaching and learning in schools and school-like environments, but it also includes various non-formal and informal means of socialization. Education is designed to guide students in learning a culture, molding their behavior in the ways of adulthood, and directing them toward their eventual role in the society. Education gives a student a capacity to understand oneself as well as fellow humans and the environment we share together. It is the light shed in darkness which helps us see persons and things as they are and in their proper perspectives. In other words, it helps one to get out of their narrow fundamentalistic cocoons and perceive reality with its manifold dimensions. It helps one to get rid of prejudices which are key to suspicion and contempt of the other. It helps one to develop skills for solving problems in the society and arrive at peace. Education is a strong fence against extremism, whether it is majoritarian or whether it is a minoritarian extremism. Education and peace are interrelated or interlinked. Mahatma Gandhi said, If we want to reach real peace in this world, we should start educating children. According to Maria Montessori, establishing lasting peace is the work of education. All politics can do is keep us out of war. She says again, education is the best weapon for peace. Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. The famous dictum of Confucius is worth quoting here. Education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope, and hope breeds peace. How to achieve peace through education? Education is generally considered as the means or method to acquire knowledge and formation in order to be successful and peaceful in life. Imbibing the spirit of many religious leaders, psychologists would say that three things are necessary to be successful in life. Namely, 1. Vision, 2. Mission, and 3. Commitment. In other words, in order to achieve inner peace, one should educate oneself to know who he or she is, what for he or she lives, and how he or she should live. Let me explain these three things. 1. Vision. By vision I mean correct understanding about oneself and about the other. That means self-consciousness and other consciousness. Vision about oneself is self-consciousness. In Indian philosophy it is Atmanam Vidya. And self-realization is the best means for Sakshatkara and self-accomplishment and bliss in life. Socrates said that the beginning of wisdom is to know thyself. If education is the key to peace, correct understanding of human being is the starting point for achieving peace. The greatest leaders in history were people who had clear vision about their life and had, so to say, clear self-consciousness. Bible depicts Jesus as the person who had clear vision about himself, being one with his Father and being sent by his Father for the redemption of mankind. Other consciousness is also should be part of our vision. In order to be successful and peaceful, one should have clear understanding of the other man, his brother, mankind, the nature, society, nation, etc., and ultimately understanding about God. The second part for success is we should have mission or goal consciousness. It gives clear picture about the purpose of life of a human person, what for he lives. The search after truth about the meaning of life of a human being in this world and in the life thereafter will give that person clarity about his mission. Self-realization is for God realization. 3. Commitment. When a human person knows who he is and what for he or she lives, he or she will commit himself totally to achieve his or her goal. In other words, it is the answer to the question how one should live. Understanding of who a human being is key to peace, as I said earlier. From a biblical point of view, there are 4 ways to look at human being. 1. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 2:7a, we read, "Then the Lord God formed man out of dust from the ground." It shows that the first identity of man is that he is dust or matter. The second identity of man can be deduced from Genesis 2, versicle 7b. We read, God breathed into the nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. That means man is a matter with life, a living matter which is called animal. Like every animal, man has all the four instincts: to eat and drink, to take rest, to have sex, and to conquer, or to have that's the law of the forest. When man is thinking and acting like an animal to satisfy the animal instincts, the peace he achieves will be that of animal peace. Such wild peace or peace of the forest is often the reason for war and crime in the world. Man is not merely an animal. He is a rational animal. We can deduce this from Bible, Genesis 2:17, where we read, "But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." Man created from clay and infused with life is given the faculties of intellect and will, with the capacity to know and decide. That is, discretionary power with freedom for choice. These intellectual faculties of man help him for developments, discoveries, etc. And the outcome of his attempt is rational peace. But this rational peace includes also the law of retaliation, as we read in Bible, Exodus 21:4, Leviticus 24:19. In fact, Jesus corrected it in Matthew 5:38 and 42. For the rationalists and atheists, rational peace, I repeat, rational peace is the ultimate goal in peace movements. Man is not merely a rational animal with the faculties of intellect and will. I would say he is an animal with a soul, rational animal with a soul. We read in Bible, Genesis 1:26, "Let us make mankind in our image and likeness." That means God made man with a soul or divinity or divine image. Therefore, in order to achieve everlasting or eternal peace, man should strive after divine peace, which is more than achieved or which is received as a gift from God. God is the ultimate source of peace, love, and knowledge. Man's interiority or self-consciousness seeks after God realization. In Bible we read, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." Proverbs 9:10. Education as the key to peace has to be understood from this point of view. Understanding of knowledge and love for peace. And what's it? The basis for peace is love. Understanding of love and knowing love is key to peace. In 1976, exactly on 19 January 1976, when I personally met Mother Teresa of Calcutta in Ernakulam for an interview for a magazine, I personally asked her about the motive behind her charitable activities, especially her charitable activities for the poor. She answered that question with another question to me. She asked me, "Do you know, Father, who is the poorest of the poor in this world?" Let me ask you, all the people who hear me, do you know who is the poorest man in this world? I was staring at her. Being unable to give a clear answer, I looked at her. With affection, Mother Teresa told, "The person who has the feeling that he or she is not loved by anybody, or who feels that he or she is unwanted is the poorest of the poor. This is the real absence of peace of a person, of a man. There are different kinds of love. One is eros, or sensual or erotic love. The second is philia, or rational love. That is, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And this is the norm behind this philia, as we read in Matthew 5:43. And this is the principle of retaliation. And the third is agape, that is divine, and we call it Christian love, Matthew 5:44 to 48. This agape or divine love is sacrificial love, is unconditional love. It includes love of even enemies. One of the main reasons for conflict, restlessness, hate, etc. is that man, like animal, often goes after sensual or erotic love, and at a higher or better degree, modern man goes after rational love, which is necessary for a better human living. But this includes also the principle of retaliation, and it cannot bring in lasting peace. But agape, which is human as well as divine, which is holistic and inclusive, will produce lasting peace. Education, therefore, must primarily include the personalization of agape in the life of every human being. Therefore, correct religious education is necessary to achieve the sublime form of peace in life. Search after truth, peace, and love is the best form and aim of education. It is the correct method of acquiring knowledge. Here one may ask, how do you know the truth? Let me say, there are three ways of acquiring knowledge and thereby understanding truth. The first one is knowing through senses, like every animal. Man also has 5 senses: eye or sight or see. Second, sound, ear, and therefore we hear. With nose we smell. With mouth we have the taste. And fifthly, touch or skin. And there are instincts for making use of these senses for living. This is necessary. Like every animal, man also requires them. But there is a second way of knowing things. Knowing through rational and discretionary faculties of intellect and will. All human beings acquire knowledge through these faculties. So the first one is senses, and the second way of acquiring knowledge is through rational faculties of intellect and will, and there is a third way of knowing things, and that's called revelation. Human beings are created in the image and likeness of God with a soul, and that is the third way of knowing truth. God can be defined as the absolute truth. In the course of history, God has revealed eternal truths to man, which are even beyond the grasping through the rational faculties of mankind. This is called revelation. In the Indian religious philosophy, it is called as Sruti, what is word, and Smriti, what is recollected or remembered. Holy scriptures of religions are thus considered as the revelation of God. According to Christian belief, it is called as word, logos of God. John chapter 1, 1 to 2. And Jesus Christ is called the fullness of revelation, as we read in Hebrews 1 and 1 to 2. From this point of view, any education which is aimed at peace should follow not merely philosophies of rational thinking and knowing, but also learn, accept, and live the revealed truths seen in Holy Scriptures. Let me conclude. Peace is not only a gift of God, but also is a virtue to be practiced or to be achieved through systematic learning or education. As by Bible, God commands us to seek peace. Psalm 34:14, Matthew 5:9. We should make every effort to do what leads us to peace. Romans 14:19. Of course, there will be some people who do not desire peace, but we are still to do our utmost to be at peace even with them, says St. Paul in Romans 12, verse 18. Believers have an obligation to let peace of God rule in their hearts. We read in Colossians chapter 3, verse 15. Peace is the fruit of the Spirit. So, if we are allowing the Spirit of God to rule in our lives, we will experience His peace, God's peace. Galatians 5, verse 22. To be spiritually minded brings life and peace. Romans 8:6. Once divine peace rules in our hearts, we are able to share that peace with others, and thus we become publishers of peace. Isaiah 52:7. That means we are ministers of reconciliation and we are peacemakers. Aristotle said, the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Nelson Mandela said, courageous people do not fear forgiving for the sake of peace. I would like to conclude this paper, this presentation, with a quotation of Jill Jackson and Say Miller, who said, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I repeat, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. In order to have peace in me, I must know who am I, vision, and what for I live, mission, and how should I live, commitment. For this I should search after truth, love and peace. And for this I require not only mere rational knowledge, but also divine knowledge regarding my ultimate bliss. I conclude with the famous words of Abdul J. Kalam. Where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. And when there is harmony in the home, there is the order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. Let us be peacemakers. Thank you. God bless you.